It is Rabbi G from RabbiG.HebrewHQ.com. It is winter in Ohio, obviously. I'm done doing my sowing seasons tour and anything that I have to do with the sowing season. That's all wrapped up. So I'm taking this time out and just resting. We know that winter is compared to the Shabbat. Yeshua said that pray that your flight not be in the winter or in the Shabbat. So it's a time that we are still, and it's a time that we are taking the time to develop. It's positive and it's negative. The negative is that we do have this time of low, and the positive is that it's necessary for us to develop. But I don't want anyone to get stuck in this winter season. I want us all to continue to develop, to continue to process, and then be able to come out of this low. And as I was doing some searching, I realized that in the world, in the internet, and even in our daily life, there's not a lot of people giving hope. So I've comprised a 10-minute clip from the Depth of Life movie, a 10-minute clip of just different things that I feel impacted me from the movie that give hope.
But come on, life is not going to be a bed of roses. You're going to have up and you're going to have your downs. It's like a heartbeat. It goes up and down. And if you was just going straight across all the time, you'd be dead. You'd be flatlined. So I think what separates the sheep from the goat is when you're in those valleys, are you able to look up to those mountains and get yourself out?
If you only have 2 seasons of sow and harvest, would you have a productive, a bountiful harvest? And the answer is no. In some seeds, you have where, in order for a seed to germinate, it must go through a cold spell, or not, it will not germinate. Because when that seed germinates, its sole purpose and function is to produce another offspring. So it's going to wait for optimal time to germinate, so that that surviving offspring will have a positive opportunity to produce and continue life. So
a lot of people say is, man, I'm doing my best, I'm going hard as I can. Why is it so hard, God? Why is it so hard? And that's where a breakthrough, you need a breakthrough. And only God can give a breakthrough.
In a place of running around and spinning and being in a chaos because we don't know what to do and we're distressed. But when a person's drowning, you can't pull them out of the water if they're flailing and fighting you. The Lord showed me a vision one day. It was about fishermen in a boat, and they had these fish, and they wanted to throw the fish back in the water, but the fish were so frantic and they were flipping all over the place, and the fisherman couldn't pick up the fish to throw them in. So he had to wait until they lost their fight. He had to wait till they just laid there, and they basically were waiting to die. And then he could pick them up and easily throw them back into the water because they weren't moving. If we keep spinning around and running and trying to figure it out and relying on ourselves, we have to be still to trust Him. We have to be still to say, okay, this is really bad, but okay, God, you can turn this around. You can change this situation.
One of the things that no pastor or preacher can teach you is to believe in God or to trust in God. I can talk to you about what belief in God will do for you. I can talk to you about what trust in God will do for you. I cannot teach you to believe in God, nor can I teach you to trust in God.
It causes them to get to a certain place, a realm of death. And so the question then becomes, how do you get that person from that realm of death, that iniquity, that bondage that's in their blood, into life, back into life? That's breakthrough. You know, when you're at that place and you just like, your mind is torturing you. You're just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. That's when you need a breakthrough. That's when you need a status change. That's when you need to literally go from this realm of death to a realm of life.
Providence is a divine direction over your life. Providence is what God sees in you that you don't see in yourself. The active power of foreseeing, prevision, an act of looking forward. It is being prudent and sober.
The thing about providence is that it works no matter what state or status you are in. You could be in a crack house and there is still providence. You could be the top CEO of your company and Elohim will still have providence for your life. No matter how great it is or how bad it is, Elohim is still faithful to those who trust in Him. If you're sitting around in regret, it is only through looking at providence do you move on, wipe the slate clean, and continue to push forward. The other option is to sit in the same season, regret, be depressed, and never move on. We have to believe that however it turned out, no matter where you are, no matter what status you're in, Elohim is faithful to his promise and to his plans for your life. This is providence. Tap into providence. Thank God for what he's done, what he's going to do, and what he's about to do in your life.
There are steps to casting down imaginations. Step 1. Don't kick yourself. You're going to have negative thoughts.
The Torah never tells us that we're not going to have evil thoughts. We're going to have evil thoughts. But the Torah teaches us that we need to cast down that evil thought, not to entertain that evil thought. The Talmud teaches us that there's 3 aspects or 3 sins that every man will commit every day. Lashon hara, evil speech, lack of devotion and prayer, and impure thoughts. So these 3 things, we're going to have them. But we don't have to feed into them, entertain it. Isaiah says sin is like a spark in the forest. We give it 1 inch and it just blows up. And the same thing happens. We wonder why we get into these places of depression. We wonder why we get into these places of woe is me, or why is this happening. It's because you heard one little seed. You had 1 seed planted in your head and you didn't cast it down. You just fed into it.
As your soul prospers, so do you prosper.
Prosperity to me as a Hebrew believer simply means to push forward. I don't believe that prosperity is a sign or a symbol of status of how much Elohim loves you. Deuteronomy says, I'm bringing you into the land, your purpose, place, potential, or providence. He said, I'm bringing you into the land, not because of your righteousness, but because of their wickedness. So Elohim, he's faithful. He's faithful to do what he said he's going to do. And this has nothing to do with prosperity. He's faithful to get you where you're supposed to go. It may take you 40 years. It may take you 3 years. But as long as you're developing, as long as you're pushing forward, you're prosperous. And I think because we try to look at what other people have and look at other people's status, and we try to compare, but we're not comparing apples and oranges. God has a season for you. He has a plan for you. He has a purpose for you. And where you are is exactly where he wants you to be. Now, if you can't grasp that, you have to literally tell yourself, I may be here today, but I know God is taking me someplace tomorrow. But if you want to stay where you are, stay where you are. Elohim is a gentleman. He's not going to force you. He's not going to force you to push forward. He's not going to come up across you while you're sitting on the couch and hit you in the head with a ball bat. That's not Elohim. That's not what he does. But he does want you to move forward. He does want you to prosper, and he does want you to succeed.
God he cares about your money. He cares about your health, that you get sick or not. Because he cares about the peace you have, the joy you have. He cares about all of you. And he knows these things, and he's not going to let you go without them.
What do you believe God for your life? What do you think if somebody is broke, busted, and disgusted and depressed beyond measure? What I got to ask him is that, do you believe that that is the Father's desire for your life? And what you got to begin to do is you got to begin to change what you're looking at and what you're focusing in on. For example, Israel comes out of Egypt, and at some point they are trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army. And their focus is what they're focusing in on is the fact that Pharaoh is charging after them, and they're asking Moses, were there no graves in Egypt that we could have been buried there? They forgot about all the things that God did to bring them out of Egypt. Plagues, signs, wonders, miracles, manna in the desert, water from rocks. They forgot about all those kind of things. And so when you find somebody that's depressed beyond measure, it's because they're focusing in on those things that seem to be going bad in their life. But guess what? God is still God. You still got air to breathe. You still got sunshine. You still got many, many other things that represent that God is for you. And so what we must do is we must change our focus and begin to claim those awesome promises of God for my life. God, I know you are a God of abundance. You are a God of prosperity. By your stripes, I'm healed. I got to begin to claim some things from my life. And as I begin to claim those things from my life, guess what? My spirit begins to prosper, and I begin to come up out of that rough spot that I'm in, and I begin to believe God for my healing, for my prosperity, for my deliverance, for my salvation. And then I can begin to do like David is, and that is I can say, Lord, you know what? Now you have restored unto me the joy of my salvation. David hadn't lost his salvation, he lost the joy of it. And he had to ask God, Lord, restore to me the joy of my salvation. And when we think about the fact that, you know what, in this life we're going to have some trials, some tribulations, and some troubles, but be of good cheer, because you know what, our God has already overcome the world.
So in a nutshell, you're going through this season of development. You're going through this season of transforming. I know it feels like you're going through a midlife crisis, but transformation is never designed, or transition is never designed to be comfortable. It is uncomfortable at times, and it doesn't feel well. But you got to realize that Elohim is developing you for a reason. He's not developing you for your sake. He's developing you for them. Elohim is trying to get the maximum potential out of you. And so as this development goes on, he's trying to maximize you so that when you go out, you can be effective with the gospel and to change the world. So we got to take this time, and we got to think, even though this is a time of developing ourselves, we don't want to get to a point where we are selfish. We want to be selfless. And that's a struggle, and I know it's hard, but it's the most important thing. This is your hope. Your hope is giving others hope. So I encourage you to go out this week at some point and give hope to somebody else. Decide that you're going to make a difference or make a change. Don't get caught in the wrongs and rights, the likes and dislikes, and all the negative things that's going on in the world. Take some time to give hope to somebody. Help somebody transition from death to life. In John, Yeshua said, look, it's yet 4 months till harvest, and we're almost at that same time frame. We're about 4 months till harvest as well. And he said, but yet the harvest is ready to be plucked. He said people are ready to be received into righteousness. So just because it's winter time, and even though you don't feel like it, and even though things may seem like it sucks, trust me, your hope and your energy, your anointing is going to come when you help somebody else. I'm Rabbi G, and I'm out.